Hey y'all. Um, how y'all doing? So, just finished watching the Obi-Wan off of Disney Plus. That thing rocks. So the reason why this video is made today is because of a video that was done by a young man that I know. I have never met him face to face. I'd hope to one day do that. He goes by the YouTube channel of Coke Man, and he's got another friend that lives down his way called Catfish. So he did a video. Now he's a bolsterous. He's a bolsterous man. He's a little on the loud side, and I need some Prozac. A little bit on the. Let's just say he's louder than me. Okay. Still working on the lighting around here, so I'm sorry. But the video is in response to what happened to Texas at Uvalde, and so this is a little PSA to those that are about to be 18 and those that are 18 years of age. You're about to be victimized by your government, by your society. You need to stand up. You're being victimized because a person of your age says, does violent and terrible things. So society says you are also that same person. Don't be that. Contact your congressman, contact your senators. You people that are older than 18, you need to get on the phone, contact your congressman, contact your senators, and say no. Right now, there is a Republican meeting, a tete-a-tete, with the Democrats up there in D.C. about there will be a gun control bill, and it will be passed. There's no doubt about it. It's going to get passed. If we don't stop it, it's our fault. Crime should not be punishable except to those who commit the crime. If we don't do something, I agree with you, we're going to have another school shooting, because we are. The problem is we constantly do the same thing over and over and over again, and we don't try something new. We got billions of dollars in COVID funding that the schools aren't using. They could use that for better cameras, for better doors, for better security. There's retired police officers. There's retired military. There's concerned citizens such as parents. Put them to work. People need, thanks to Joe Biden and his administration, people are hurting for money. Put them to work. If you got a school and it takes 20 people to create a security team, do it. Put them under the auspice, meaning their supervisor would be the school resource officer. Put them out there with 90 rounds and an AR. Each person carrying an AR, and each person carrying 90 rounds and a radio and handcuffs. They don't have to have the power to arrest. They just have the power to detain. And the other thing is, the administrations, that being the school and the administration being the sheriff's office or the chief of police, they're going to have a backbone and tell these people that are going to stand up, because this is, once again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. They're going to stand up and say, well, I don't want my child around guns. Well, suck it up, Buttercup. Suck it up. Because if you don't do that, you're going to have another school shooting. Joe Biden's the reason why we have a gun-free zone in the first place, under the Bill Clinton administration. That was a bill. That was Joe Biden's baby. The Brady bill. The big man on the block that got that through was Joe Biden. President Clinton signed it. When they got done with it, they did when it came to an end of the bill, the law. They did a study on it, and they found that there's no difference in crime between that and what was before, so they repealed it, and rightly so. Having lived through that and experiencing that BS, it's the same thing what they want to do now. Don't let them do it. Washington, D.C. doesn't have the answer. The federal government doesn't have the answer. You have the answer. You the teachers, you the student, you the teachers, you the parents, and the law enforcement. You guys got the answer. No one else does. You just got to think outside the box and stop staying in lane A, B, or C, which is, what society does. Stop listening to the anti-gun people. Stop listening to the pro-gun people. And come up with your own way of doing it. You can stop a school shooting. Every school in this country can have a zero school shooting. Absolutely. Just we refuse to be hard. We refuse to make our schools a hard target. We refuse to educate children what guns really are, rather than video game education and movie education and the anti-gun education and the YouTube education. If we don't do this, there will be another school shooting. You 18-year-olds that are out there, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you go back and look, the reason why you're able to vote is because of the Vietnam War. Because there used to be an old saying that 18-year-olds were getting drafted into the military and going to Vietnam. They were saying, well, I'm old enough to fight, I'm old enough to be wounded, I'm old enough to be maimed permanently, and I'm old enough to get killed, but I'm not old enough to fight, old enough to vote. Do not let your government strip you of your civil liberties and treat you like a second-grade citizen. You men and you women in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, don't let your children, your grandchildren, or your children be treated that way. Stand up and contact your local congressmen and your senators on the state level and the federal level and tell them, hey, I'm not digging this. Come election time, I'm going to show you what I don't like. You might be out of a job. They don't have the answers up there in Washington, D.C. They don't. And it's like, and I've said before in my previous videos, every vote that I've ever done since I was of the age of 18 to vote has been, can I keep my civil liberty for 24 more hours? That tells you how bad, corrupt, terrifying your government is. I say this as a dad, I say this as a citizen, I say this as a police officer. Stand up and tell your congressmen and your senators, not no, but oh hell no, are you going to strip me of my constitutional rights and penalize me, criminalize me, punish me for the act of an 18-year-old. Don't let them do that. I don't have the answer for what society needs to do. If I had the Harry Potter wand and I could tap the thing, I know what I would do, which is I'd stack up some people, men and women. I mean, you think about it. You got a woman out there. She's 4'9". She's carrying an AR, and her child's in that school. I wouldn't fuck with that woman. I'd fight a 6'3". I'd fight Mike Tyson before I dealt with that woman. You want to talk about, you just fucked up. You just walked into the worst bar fight you ever been into. Deal with that little mama. You know what I'm saying? So stand up for your rights because they're being stripped from you by your own government. And don't trust Republicans because they're just as corrupt as the Democrats. They just do it differently. It's time we got rid of the political parties and started being Americans under the Constitution. It won't never change. It won't ever change. The crisis that we are facing in our country today, high gas prices, high interest rates, high inflation, the loss of our 401ks, violence in the schools, violence on the streets, etc., 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 and on and on and on. That comes from a lack of multiple things. The erosion of a society, the corruption of a government, the weakness of a people who continually want free this and free that, instead of the real free, which is your freedom and your liberty. your freedom, your liberty. The man that did this terrible thing in Texas is dead. Justice got served. I know some people are out there going, justice wasn't served because my child wasn't saved. And here comes the cold, hard, callous part of me. Justice was served. He is dead. I wish he had not done what he had done. I wish he had been killed out in the street. I wish he had killed himself. I wish he had never done anything except cry out for help. And I think, he would have got that. But you're never going to stop violence. No matter how much you want to pray it, how much you want to wish it, how much you want to do this, how much you want to do that, you're never going to stop crime. But you can stop school shootings by being a hard target rather than doing the Joe Biden method, which is a gun-free zone, and creating more terrible deaths. Don't listen to the Beto O'Rourke's of the world. Don't listen to the Bidens of the world. Don't listen to the federals of the world. Listen to your county and your state. Make it happen and tell the federal government to go jump in the friggin' lake. Or better yet, go jump in the Gulf of Mexico. Take a big flying leap in the old Gulf of Mexico or the old Rio Grande, and you can fix it. We can all fix it in our communities. I'm about to retire as a law enforcement officer. If my sheriff or my chief comes up with some kind of formula, I am volunteering to stand guard. And I don't care if I'm standing next to a retired military or a plumber. I don't give a shit. And that's the way we need to be. We are doomed to fail if we don't start doing better. But we are definitely not doing better when we erode the civil liberties of people because of age and the multiple other things that go along with it. We self-victimize ourselves thinking that there's a solution in that, and there's not. There's an old saying, the good Lord helps those who help themselves. Well, to hell with the federal government, and if need be, to hell with your state government, and help yourself. Okay, I know there's a lot of answers about the police involved in that deal. There's a lot of stuff going on about the hour delay, and the information is not true. From what I've seen reading, the police were inside the building 4 minutes after the shooter. So just don't believe the hooboo. You know what I'm saying? The tactical team that actually killed the shooter, they got there an hour later. But law enforcement was on scene. Law enforcement was in the school 4 minutes after the guy entered. If you don't believe me, that's fine. But I'm not going to go through this hyperbole of this knee-jerk reaction. Homeland Security, how about that? That's one of the worst things we ever did. That the Homeland Security Act has eroded your civil liberties and mine like you wouldn't believe. It's granted authoritarian power to police officers that they shouldn't have. So, got some more videos on the way. I hope they're going to be better than this one. Stand up for your rights as a citizen and don't let nobody degrade you into a subclass citizen simply because the criminal act of an 18-year-old. Be back directly.